when they say they're stressed, but what they mean is that they constantly abandon themselves to please other people. So a lot of us use the blanket term stress for any negative mental state that we're experiencing in our lives, or really any problems we have in our lives. And the problem with using the word stressed is that it doesn't really seem to have a solution. It's like this ambiguous statement. And what I've noticed is that when we use this term, we often mean very different things. And one of the root causes of this negative state is self-abandonment. So it'll really make sense to you once I explain it. So think about it this way. Imagine you have a friend, and this friend sometimes supports you and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they're there for you and sometimes they aren't. And you can never predict which way it's going to go. And a lot of the time, they just aren't there for you. And you just kind of have to rely on yourself. And this is essentially what people pleasers do to themselves. They abandon themselves when they really need themselves to accommodate other people, to please other people, to meet the needs of other people. So they'll abandon their own needs to meet the needs of other people. And this actually creates a lot of stress in the mind, because the mind literally doesn't know when to rely on you. Like, when will you meet a need for maybe alone time, like having less stimulation? When will you meet that need? When will you meet a certain other need for yourself? You have no idea, because essentially you're just focusing so much on other people. It creates a lot of stress in the mind because it has no idea what you're going to do. You're not going to be able to meet the needs of your own self. And so that's an extremely stressful situation. And people often don't link stress with people pleasing, but people pleasing and abandoning your own needs and not being able to rely on yourself is extremely stressful to the mind. It's like the mind hates ambiguity, and it loves reliability. And essentially, people pleasing is creating a very high form of unreliability, where you need to essentially outsource your validation and your kind of confidence to other people. And those people are also highly unreliable. Like, we're all being unreliable here. So it's an extremely inefficient system, and that's why it creates so much stress. And so really the only way to reduce stress in this scenario is to learn to be self-reliant and to actually meet your own needs, and to learn to validate yourself, because that's a highly efficient system if you think about it. Like, okay, if I just validate myself and you just validate yourself, then we don't have these miscommunications or issues or inefficiencies, because it's an internal system. It works great. But this is typically not how we work in our society. So if you are someone who's a people pleaser and you experience a lot of stress, this is probably the root cause. And so you won't usually experience a diminishment in your stress to the point where you feel better until you address this root cause.